Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's TeamLease Podcast, where we exchange ideas, insights, and experiences related to our sector. We use this as one of our platforms to collaborate and find innovative solutions to the real world challenges that we face. Today, I'm glad to introduce Mr. Ranjit Ganguly, the Group Head Business Excellence from Tata Power, who's established himself as a trusted leader in the industry, driving operational excellence and delivering outstanding client delight throughout his career. With a strong background in managing and leading teams, he has excelled at implementing procedures and service standards that foster business excellence at the highest level. Mr. Ranjit, welcome to the podcast again, sir. Just to set the context on today's interaction, we all are cognizant that operational excellence isn't just a boardroom conversation now, but is built to sustain at the front line. So, today's topic, which is empowering people and streamlining processes to drive frontline excellence, dives into how organizations can unlock the real potential of their frontline team. From building trust and ownership to leveraging digital tools and creating a culture of accountability, this conversation will explore practical strategies of making operational excellence a part of our daily routine. So, Mr. Ranjit, if I could go with the very first question that comes to the top of my mind, with the frontline often being the make or break point for delivering customer satisfaction and driving a business set of goals, how can we as leaders build a genuine trust and create ownership with the frontline teams?
Sure, sure. So it's an excellent question, Dhiren. And see, my top of the mind thought would be how do we build trust in them? So as the leadership team, we need to understand their issues,
Mhm.
right? The frontline team needs to know that yes, the leadership team has their back, right? And since the frontline team represents the organization, right? And the frontline team is the face of the organization for the customer.
Mhm.
It becomes all the more important that we support them at all given points of time. A
Mhm.
couple of ways to do this is to, interact along with them, with the customers. So you can have leadership interactions wherein the leadership team, probably listens into a few customer calls at the contact center, just to understand what are the key issues which are coming through. And it's a very heartening matter for the frontline executives, because then they understand that we are just not a group of front end staff who are being paid to do a job of addressing customer queries and complaints, but
Right.
it's also to it's also that the leadership understands us as well. And that's the amount of trust that the leadership places in us, because we are the team which makes or breaks the brand for the organization, right? So that's one part. The other is the engagement by senior leadership.
Mhm.
uh, as I was mentioning the other day, that we had our managing director
Mhm.
who did a reward and recognition event for the frontline employees,
Right.
wherein even though most of them were on third party payrolls or outsourced employees, right? Because he visited a couple of our customer relation centers of Tata Power in Mumbai, and he mentioned to me that your guys are doing a fantastic job, and I would like to recognize them in person. So that's very rare. So when an event of such a scale and magnitude happens, the employees automatically feel trusted. They feel empowered, and then they go all the way out to take ownership to the next level.
Excellent.
See, we've all heard that phrase, a happy employee makes a happy customer,
That's right.
right? So if the employee is motivated, if the employee is engaged, if the employee knows that the organization is with me,
Mhm.
then of course, I mean, the sky is the limit for the employee, literally.
I like the way you actually have highlighted the importance of the leaders being a little more involved with them and recognizing the efforts and primarily
Right.
empowering them. So that's very aptly put by you. So, however, I'm pretty certain
Hmm.
that we still have to have well-defined processes while we still want to empower them and enable them to achieve more. So, can you share an instance where a
Yes.
process was tweaked or defined and then how it added value and the likes?
Oh, yes. See, today any organization is in existence because of the customer, right? For the customer, by the customer, of the customer. So we have this process in Tata Power where you have customers requesting us for waiver of late fees. It
Mhm.
happens in all retail industries.
That's
So
right.
whether it's your credit card bill or your telephone bill or your power supply bill, in case you have overshot the payment due date and you have been levied with a late fee,
Mhm.
customers typically customers typically come to us asking for waiver of late fees. Now,
Mhm.
the amount per se is very minuscule. It's about 2% of the bill value. Having
Got it.
said that, we had earlier a process of all late fee reversal requests coming to me for approval,
Mhm.
and a good part of my day used to go in, approving these requests
Ouch.
in the system.
Got it.
And so during the same R&R event, which I just spoke to you about, RMD, he just asked, he threw the floor open for questions in terms of issues that they face
Mhm.
and the kind of empowerment that the team needs. So, there were many voices which said that, we cannot commit to the customer that, we have reversed your late fee
Mhm.
while we tell them that, we have taken your request and it will take about a couple of days for us to process it. But but that kind of empowerment is not there. I mean, for amounts as low as 10 rupees and 20 rupees.
Mhm.
So the MD spoke to me and he said that get a memo in place, get a schedule of authority in place where up to an amount of 500, and we went on past data, what's the maximum late fee amount which is gone to, and we've given them the empowerment to reverse the fee on the spot. So there was a
Got it.
huge change in the process. I mean, the process for the last 15 years was operating in an X manner,
Mhm.
and we changed it overnight. I mean, the
Wow.
MD told me that, you create a memo, send it to me, I will sign it, and then let's get this going. So again, it comes to senior leadership.
Mhm.
And when you change processes, see, ultimately you need to have processes for sustenance. Unless you have a process in place, obviously, we would all want to be process dependent and not people dependent.
Mhm.
Having said that, the importance of processes is there very much. But this was a classic case, which I could think of, wherein it really helped or it empowered the front office team, and they felt very good about it.
Very nice. I mean, I can actually visualize you approving every 2, 3, 5 rupees, which would have been really
Yes, so
painful.
almost a couple of hours of my day used to go in only this activity, which is an absolute non-value add.
Got it. So true. Very true.
And
So,
for the poor guys at the front office, at the front desk, who are sitting across the table with the customer, for them to say, "Sir, thank you. We will take your request, and then we will get back to you in a couple of days' time,
uh-huh.
and you will receive a credit in your next bill." All of that. Compare that with saying, "Thank you, sir. I have reversed the late fee. You will see a credit in the next bill."
Very true.
So
Yeah.
that
Did you
way.
get any feedback from your team on how good they felt about being
Oh,
empowered or the
yes,
like?
yes. So my employee engagement survey scores, okay, while that's a lag measure, but
Uh-huh.
then those went up. And in terms of, informal feedback from the team was great. I mean, we have these, we had these fortnightly team meetings
Mm-hmm.
because it's very important for me to engage with them on at least on a fortnightly basis, for process updates, check with them in terms. So typically review meetings. So by and large, the feedback was great, and there were more such instances, smaller ones though, in terms of empowerment, where we've told the team to take decisions on their own and post facto. I learned this trait from my previous organizations. I was working with American Express financial services. I was a manager in the credit cards customer services. So there also the amount of empowerment is phenomenal. I mean, there of course it goes up to as high as 5 and 6,000 rupees
Excellent.
worth of interest charges, which an executive has the empowerment to waive off.
Mhm.
Another thing which I learned from there is that in my absence, in a sense,
Mhm.
if I'm on leave or I'm on traveling or anything like that, I had told, this is again which I learned from my previous organization, that I had empowered my immediate reportee,
Mhm.
my immediate down the line reportee, that you take the decision. I am giving you the empowerment and the approval,
Well,
and we'll regularize it once I'm back. So
got
those are
it.
some of the things which I learned again, and I just implemented that here.
Yeah.
And again, it's very heartening. Processes don't stop, or work doesn't stop.
So true.
So that's important again.
Very aptly put. I think empowerment is the key to ensure that we all work as a team. So, moving
Yes.
on to the next thought or the next question that I have, Mr. Ranjit, is around
Ah,
technology. Um,
right.
uh, Sometimes technology doesn't really work as an enabler, but it becomes a deterrent for teams because they're comfortable in working their own ways. So, your
Right.
views on how we could leverage on technology, how we could roll it out, primarily a well-defined process or the like, would be great.
Sure, sure, sure. So I'll start with a very simple example. So we have these customer relations centers where customers come in to either apply for a new power supply connection, to pay their bills, to have a query resolved, or etc. Various other requests.
Mhm.
So we used to have earlier, someone first come first served, and it was very manual. So we had the typically like how you see in some of the सरकारी banks. Then you have the security guard telling the guy, okay, अभी आप जाइए, आप उस काउंटर पे जाइए, आप इधर जाइए. So he had a very multifunctional role. It was a similar situation with us. We went in for a queue management system, an
Mhm.
electronic queue management system,
Got
which
it.
is where, and it was not just a token issuing machine. It had a lot of analytics built into it.
Mhm.
So it told me as to, okay, how many consumers have walked in today? What has been the average time that they've spent addressing their query or concern? All right. In terms of team productivity. So if there are 5 people at a center, obviously not all of them would have attended the same number of customers, because
That's true.
one would be more efficient than the other and vice versa.
Mhm.
But it also helped me understand as to what are the types of queries which are taking longer to resolve. And based on that, I take decisions in maybe re-engineering a particular process,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? So that the team is that much more empowered, to and equipped to
Got it.
solve the customer's query in the shortest possible time, because customers also wouldn't want to wait, right? They would obviously want their queries resolved at the earliest.
Got it.
That's one. Plus, we have an online knowledge management system. So it's like a portal with a Google search kind of functionality. So in case someone is relatively new in that role, been a
Mhm.
few months, of course, they go through a product process, soft skills training, all of that.
Mhm.
They can simply type in the keyword of that particular process, and the system throws it up for them, the entire process manual, procedures, all of that. So it helps when it comes to explaining to the customer who's sitting across the table with you. And so these are some instances where technology has played a very important role. We have this SAP-based CRM systems, which again help in tracking the customer's history as well. So when he comes to me today, I know as to what has been his past query, what has been the status of that query or concern, and all of that. So I am much better prepared as a front office executive to respond to his questions or queries as they come about. So technology, yes, very rightly said. They it plays a very very important role. Additionally, we have these bots in our call center as well as on our website. Now,
Mhm.
what happens is 85% of customer queries, we've done some analysis over the years,
Mhm.
have fairly standard responses.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so we have those responses, answered by the bot, those queries answered by the bot.
Got it.
And my team, my employees are left with the more complex queries.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this in the contact center. We also have it in the email management system. So we get typically about 150 emails a day. And out of these 150, at least 100 plus emails are have fairly standard responses. So we've automated that as well.
Excellent.
Okay, so a customer sends an email, let's say, I want to know the procedure for change of name on my power supply bill from the builder to my name, right? So the system picks up the keywords and shoots him a response
Got it.
within 24 hours. So my people are more, empowered and trained, and they can do much more complex work where it actually requires usage of brains, where you need to solve an issue or a problem, work on improvement projects and things like that.
Got it.
So happy to say that we've used technology to the extent possible. While
Fabulous.
in the power distribution business, you cannot really equate it as an apple to apple with an FMCG product.
Sure.
You cannot see a product, but you can definitely feel it, or rather sense the absence of it when there is a shutdown.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yes. I mean, it's something which we've done, which we implemented quite well.
Very interesting. So, Ranjit, deploying technology is one, which I think you guys have done phenomenal. But
Right.
two is leveraging on the insights that technology can actually provide you. Would you be in a
Yes.
position to share an instance or so where you actually leveraged on your analytics insights that you've got and how you've changed the process? Because I think that gets very critical for the viewers, for the listeners to understand how
Okay.
things can be used better.
Okay. So again, coming back to technology, we realized that we did an analysis of our various, complaints, and more than complaints, requests. We had a lot of customers applying to us for meter testing. So they used to say, typically happened in the summer months, my meter is running faster than it should. And, you get my meter tested. So we had this elaborate procedure earlier of removing the meter from his site, replacing it with a brand new meter. Obviously, his consumption needs to be recorded, right, continuously while we test the meter, bring the meter to our lab, have it tested. Then again, we used to not replace the meter. We used to let the new meter remain where it is. And we used to keep this, if it was tested and found to be okay, we used to keep this meter in our stores for deployment at other customer locations as and when. So what we realized is we got a lot of customer feedback from our complaints analysis, from our dashboards, and from the customer walk-ins, especially at the customer care centers, that you are testing your meter in your lab, though the customer has the option to witness the testing. But again, by and large, customers are not so tech savvy in terms, because ultimately it's an electronic device, right? So they would say, you are testing the meter in your lab. How do I know? You will say the meter is fine and things like that. So we said, fine. So let's change the process. Plus, for us as an organization, it involved capex, because the cost of a meter typically is around 4.5 to 5,000 rupees. So we were investing that capex at the customer's location.
Got it.
For it was there. We just placed a new meter. We said, fine, we did a business process re-engineering initiative, and we started the process of testing the meter at the customer's premises itself.
Mm-hmm.
So cost wise, it saved us. We saved the cost of a new meter, because 99.9% of the times the meters were fine. So we used to invite him that, here, we are going to test the meter in your presence. You please stand here. This is the testing equipment that we have. These are the parameters. And then you see. So my complaints, dropped drastically. Customer satisfaction went up. They knew that, we are a transparent organization. We are doing everything in front of you. Here is your meter. Here is the testing that we've done, and here is the report. That helped a lot, and that was a major initiative which we undertook at that point of time. So, I mean, this is one example, but it all depends on how well you do the analysis.
True that.
So, having dashboards is one thing, but using the those dashboards for a proper analysis is something which, you never know what you will get in terms of changing the process. And that's been there in place ever since now.
Fabulous, Ranjit. So good. I like the fact that we spoke about empowerment and we spoke about how technology can actually enable them. Coming to the next question, which would be primarily on how do you track the efficiency, or what could be the right matrices that could be defined for a company? More as a framework would be great to hear your views around it. And of course, how we've
Okay.
gone about it at Tata Power.
Yes, yes. So see, in terms of what are the right metrics, see, again, coming from an employee perspective, for the frontline teams, obviously, while you have employee engagement scores, but then that survey, it's a lag measure, right? You do the survey at the end of the year, typically preceded by some employee outings and picnics and initiatives to
True
give
that.
some recency factor to it. No, that was on the lighter side.
I
So,
get it.
and then you roll out the survey.
Mhm.
But I think what's very important is uh, for us to keep our employees engaged, is to continuously motivate them,
Mhm.
reward them, a simple pat on the back. You need not come out with an elaborate certificate and a gift voucher and things like that. But just a simple one-liner on email saying that, well done. Like I'll give you an example. I was visiting one of the customer relations centers, and there was a customer who was sitting with a front office executive and complaining about his bill, saying it's come on the higher side.
Mhm.
Mr. Dhiren, I must tell you, the way she explained it to him
Mhm.
in less than 5 minutes, right, was so phenomenal. He understood, he was convinced, he
Wow.
got up, thanked her, and walked off. Now,
Excellent.
that's something which even I couldn't have done.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. So some people are so good. So I told her that, you're doing a fantastic job here. And I wrote a one liner of appreciation to her they need to feel appreciated, because all said and done, uh, it's a thankless job. We all
Exactly.
know that, right?
Right.
Front office employees are at the receiving end of the customers, and
More often than not.
so any good work that they do, appreciate them. That's one. Second, motivate them. I had the good fortune to promote some of my high performing uh, contract employees or
Mhm.
employees on outsourced payrolls. I
Mhm.
moved them onto the Tata Power payroll,
Got it.
because if they deserve it, and this lady was also one of them. So we had about 8 people who moved that time, and that was so for them it's an aspirational leap,
Agreed.
right? So from a stage where you're working for, say, TeamLease, okay, and sitting in a Tata Power process, you are moved to Tata Power as a Tata Power employee. That is
Fabulous.
something which really is a fantastic motivational factor for them. So that's one thing. The other thing is, in terms of the metrics, is your what do you call, the employee productivity part, of course.
Mhm.
So you have things like these dashboards which I spoke to you about.
Mhm.
It be it the queue management system, or at a call center level, you obviously have multiple dashboards which tells you which agent took how many calls,
Right.
and what was the average handling time. And but we made one change here. We did not put a kind of a boundary on the average handling time. We did not say that you have to finish your call in 180 seconds, come
Mhm. Mhm.
what may. Because what we realized over time, again through analytics, is that it sometimes affects the quality of the resolution, or the quality of the response. So I mean, see, obviously for simple queries like where is your nearest bill payment center, or how can I pay your bill online, and things like that, of course, we have standard scripts and ways in which. But for more complex queries in terms of bill explanation, what are these charges? Why are they levied? And all of that. So we said, don't worry, there is no limitation on your average handling time, obviously, but that doesn't mean you keep chatting with customers, and no one would do that. Having said that, that was, I think, one practice which we implemented here. So those are some of the things, and of course, grade of service, which is basically the percentage of time that you answer a call in 20 seconds and things like that. So those are some of the metrics, the employee productivity metrics which are there. Quality of employees, rather the quality of service delivery by the employees. So of course, you have your quality analysts, and then so what we have is we have quality analysts, who are there over and above the team leader of the employee. So the team leader of the employee is, let's say, observing an interaction, and he gives a particular score. We have the quality analyst evaluate that same interaction, and then we've seen the score becomes stricter. See, what happens is the team leader is interacting with that person over a period of time,
Right.
or with his or her team, right? So at some point of time, this happened with me as well in my previous roles. You tend to kind of take certain things for granted, or tend to accept certain things, but the quality analyst does not know that executive from Adam, right? So he or she would rate exactly as per the book.
Right.
Right. So if the team leader has given a score rating of 80%, we've seen the quality analyst give a score of 60, 65%. And then we have what we call as calibration discussions, wherein we say that, okay, how can we kind of come onto the same page? So yes, quality, productivity, these are some of the metrics which I think are, need to be monitored. And of course, the engagement of employees as far as the rewards and recognition part is concerned, that's again very critical.
Very interesting. I like the way you summed up the whole piece with respect to matrices. I'm sure these go through its own iterative changes. Just a small thought though, on a metric with respect to time for a call, 180 seconds, do you guys have some kind of a segregation saying, hey, these are your easy questions, need to be closed, or these are your challenging ones?
Yes, of course. So this example which I gave you of where is your nearest customer relations center?
Right.
Or, so those something. So for those calls, we have 180 seconds as a limit point.
Got it.
So we've defined those. So typically, again, 70% of our calls are related to the bill, right? In terms of explanation of the the bill values, or the bill components.
Sure.
So those we have said, and for your excess billing complaints, that we have said categorically there is no time limit. See, it is better that the executive spends that extra minute or two on the call or on the interaction across the table, depending on where the customer has contacted,
right,
and get that resolved rather than routing the complaint to a back office team who would then work separately on it through their various processes, and then come out with a resolution to the customer, which would take 3 to 4 working days, right? So we focus on FTR, the first time resolution part of it, so that we have done away for this particular type of query complaint. We have done away with the average handling time for that.
Got it. No, very interesting. So just trying to understand, I mean, while I'd love to continue with this discussion, I just have one last question that comes to mind.
Sure. Yeah.
When it comes to primarily empowering the frontline, which is primarily the crux of this whole discussion,
Correct.
I think culture within a company plays a very critical role. Can you share your 2 cents around that, on what really could be the right approach for organizations to follow and take it to the next level?
Sure. So very aptly put, Mr. Dhiren, the company culture plays a very, very important role, right? So, and I'll give you a very simple example. So, Tata Power in Mumbai has close to about 8 lakh consumers, out of which about 5.5 lakh consumers are those who have ported from Reliance and Adani to Tata Power. So in Mumbai, you are aware, we have this unique scenario where you have parallel licensees operating in the same city. So you have Tata Power, you have Adani, and you have BST in the South Mumbai part. Right. So I've had, there was one scenario wherein a customer had walked into one of my customer relations centers, which was part of my corporate office where I used to sit. And he had some issue which was not getting resolved. And finally, one of my executives, sent word that I need to come and speak to the customer. So I went and spoke to him, resolved his issue, understood his problem, all of that. He told me one thing. He told me that, as Tata Power, as a Tata Power employee, you are standing here and talking to me and resolving my issue.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot expect this from any other organization. Okay, he told me on my face. So I was like, thank you so much, but that's just my job.
Yeah.
So he said that, and so to your point, Mr. Dhiren, company culture plays a very important role. Be it from rights, it's starting from employee policies, procedures, and in fact, even going to the extent that ensuring, especially for the third party payroll or outsourced employees, that their payments, their salaries are received on time by
Perfect.
them. So those are some of the checks and that we have in mind. Culturally, we've also not so there was some talk initially when because we were a fairly late entrant into the retail distribution business. We started off way back in 2010. Right. So having said that, we normally you have CCTV cameras everywhere, right? Especially in customer interaction areas. So for almost a year, we had no CCTV cameras because our then MD had said that I trust my employees. I don't want them to be monitored.
Got
Right.
it.
So then, of course, we put CCTV cameras for a different reason.
Sure.
In terms of, if say there is an interaction happening with the customer and there is some dispute later,
Sure.
we would want to have that. But then I'm saying this is again to do with the culture.
Agreed.
I trust my employees, so I will not have CCTV cameras at my locations.
Fabulous. Got
So,
it.
so that's just one of the examples. But then again, a company culture is something which actually matters a great deal.
Got it.
And that's why, people would want to come and work for you. It's
Excellent.
again it's a what you call a quality of a company who's a benchmark leader in its industry or its category that, people would want to come and work for that organization.
Got it.
Obviously, that's driven through HR practices, processes, and various things like that.
Got it. Very nice. Good. So if in case I'm to sum up this whole conversation,
Yes.
excellence with the frontline primarily could be four pillars that we focus on. One would be empowerment that you actually highlighted. Two
Right.
is leveraging on technology. Three is
Right.
setting the right matrices. And four, as you
Right.
rightly said, the right culture so that people feel the sense of oneness in their
Absolutely.
life.
Absolutely.
So I think it was a great conversation, and thank you so much for taking time out again for
You're
this.
most welcome, Mr. Dhiren, and thank you for this opportunity for me
Pleasure.
to share my thoughts. It
Pleasure
was
is
very
all ours, and we
nice.
look forward to having you on future podcasts going forward again.
Sure, sure, sure.
Thank you
Anytime.
so much.
Anytime.